Yeah, but you know what? Actually, you know what? Todd Bertuzzi, I got a beef to pick with you right now. When I was a kid, I had a Todd Bertuzzi signed jersey. I had a Canucks jersey, Bertuzzi on the back, 44.
Yeah.
I met him in person. He signed it for me. But the guy signed it on the front of the jersey.
Come on, let's go!
Welcome to Circles Off, episode number 144, right here, part of the Hammer Betting Network, and presented by Pinnacle Sportsbook. I am Rob Pizzola, joined back in the saddle by Johnny from Betstamp.
Doing your best Andy Frost impression right now?
That was pretty good.
Part of the Hammer Betting Network.
There's very few people who are going to get that reference. You needed to listen to like Leafs talk radio after Leaf games. You know, that's
people still do listen to that. It's
do.
declining, dwindling, obviously, but
yeah, but they just go to YouTube and watch me.
Exactly. That's what Zach's got the right format for it. Honestly, I don't know how anyone does post-game shows anywhere, especially in markets where the fans are like diehard fans. Because, no offense, this is very bad for me to say, but like the average fan is an idiot and doesn't understand sports. So like a team will lose a game where they play well, but all it is callers just calling in and be like, we got to blow this up, trade everybody, do this. And then you get like the most insane trade recommendations. I remember I used to listen to like Leafs talk radio after the games when I was growing up. And it was always the same call. It was like, we got to do something and trade like Nick Antropov and a first rounder and just go out and get Sidney Crosby. Like as if this is like a real, and poor Andy Frost is listening to this stuff and he's like, yeah, you know, I think it's going to take a lot more than a first rounder and a third line centerman to get the league's best player. Like I don't know how people sit through that.
I know, and then they're constantly just basically like suggesting to blow up the team after 2 losses, and then thinking the team's like going to the cup after 2 wins in a row.
But that's what's fun.
Yeah,
that's what makes it fun.
That's the fun of just being a fan. That was fun before betting was popular. Now you just bet.
Well, I guess it. Yeah, to each their own, right? I think there is still something there of like a bunch of people connecting around a team, but God, I can't handle. I guess maybe this says a lot more about me. I can't handle other people's opinions sometimes, man. Like I don't want to hear it. I want to formulate my own. This is why I do a podcast myself. I don't listen to much content in this space. It's like I don't care enough. Honestly, I have other things to do.
Yeah. Since I started betting, I don't even enjoy watching games without like. I don't care to just watch like a regular season game of a team I used to follow, like for example, like the Blue Jays. Now it's like, okay, yeah, the Jays game is on, and I'll definitely know the scores. I'll definitely know like if the Leafs won or lost, but I don't care to watch the game fully every single game now. If I'm there, I'll watch it, put it on. But that's what betting does to you, I guess.
Of course, it changes everything.
But I will still watch NFL, any game.
NFL and
Jags Titans Thursday night, I'll watch it.
It's always like an AFC South game, right? And it's always the 2 worst teams in the AFC South.
Jets Raiders, I'm in.
Yeah.
Episode 144. We got a couple NFL players here.
One who played in the Super Bowl.
Juszczyk?
Yeah.
Kyle Juszczyk, yeah, top paid tight end. Top paid fullback. Dallas Clark,
yeah,
legend.
Classic white tight end back in the day.
And we have a couple of NHL players that wore 44.
If Jason Witten didn't exist, imagine how big Dallas Clark would be.
If Witten didn't exist? Why? Why not?
Just another big white tight end that always got like the glory.
Dallas Clark was good. He wore no gloves, I think.
No gloves, yeah.
Yeah, never gloves.
Yeah, a little bit of chalk on those hands, LeBron style, a little baby powder.
We have Morgan Riley, current defenseman on the Leafs. Todd Bertuzzi.
Back in the day.
Big
We don't
Bert.
say his name anymore after Chris Moore. Which, by the way, it was Chris Moore, right?
Yeah. No, Steve Moore.
Steve Moore. Chris Moore's the better, baseball better or whatever.
His brother was Dominic Moore on the Leafs.
Yes.
Steve Moore. That was a rough one. I remember this one like it was yesterday.
I don't remember it much.
I mean, it's a big sucker. Bertuzzi literally chased him down the ice from behind, grabbed him by the jersey, delivered a blow to the side of his head, knocked him out, and then proceeded to fall on top of him, which broke his neck in the process. It was really bad. It was really bad.
I would love to know what the post game talk radio was on this one. Actually,
I mean,
how many guys were supporting Bertuzzi? Because that guy gave Naslin, which is the captain, a concussion from a cheap shot hit.
Exactly.
The game before, and then Bertuzzi said he's got to pay for that. He's got to fight, and then he didn't want to fight.
Well, I don't remember what the suspension was. The remainder of the Canucks season, which cost them the final 13 games. That was back in 2004. If this happened in 2024, this guy would never play hockey again.
Yeah.
It would have been very different if it happened nowadays, but I remember that one pretty clearly. Pretty clear. That was a big event in the Talk Sports radio at that time.
When was it? What year?
2004.
2004.
I was 18 years old.
20 years ago.
I was 18 years old at that time. I won't forget that one in particular.
I had a signed Bertuzzi jersey when I was a kid. He signed it for me. Probably about a year before that incident.
Tough break.
Yeah, but you know what? Actually, you know what? Todd Bertuzzi, I got a beef to pick with you right now. When I was a kid, I had a Todd Bertuzzi signed jersey. I had a Canucks jersey, Bertuzzi on the back, 44.
Yeah.
I met him in person. He signed it for me. But the guy signed it on the front of the jersey. And I was too young to even know to tell him, hey, sign it on the number on the back so you can hang it up.
Right.
Guy signed it on the front in between the Canucks logo, the curve like that. Disrespect.
Bastard, man. What's his relation to current Leaf Tyler Bertuzzi?
Nephew, I believe.
Nephew?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not son.
No.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. 44 is a huge baseball number. Hank Aaron. Reggie Jackson.
Prior to my time, these guys were out.
Of course, I'm not suggesting I watched Hank Aaron live, but a very underrated pitcher in Roy Oswalt.
On the Phillies?
I only mention that because I used to bet him all the time with the Astros, but that Phillies, like thinking back to what the Phillies had, I'm missing the fourth, but they had Cliff Lee, Roy Oswalt, Doc Halladay, and someone else in the rotation at the same time. Oh, it's gonna really bother me.
You know who the Phillies closer was that pitched had a perfect season?
Papelbon?
No. Perfect season, like no blown saves.
I should know.
Brad Lidge. Had him in fantasy my first year.
There you go. You retain like some of the most random
yeah, Brad
knowledge
Lidge.
ever.
Brad Lidge. He wasn't bad.
Brad Lidge. I'm going to be really bothered by not knowing who Cole Hamels.
Oh, Hamels.
Cole Hamels, of course. There we go. 2011. Oswalt, Halladay, Hamels, Cliff Lee. That's
a good rotation.
That's how you build a rotation.
That is a
baseball.
top rotation.
That's how you build a rotation.
Speaking of something that was great back in 2003. When was it? Sorry, 2011?
Yeah, but you're implying that they're not great now.
Speaking of something that was incredible back in 2011, and you know what? I don't even know if we're gonna have to cut that.
No,
out.
we're just gonna keep it going. I might as well at this point. They should be the top of the rotation.
Speaking of top of the rotation here in Ontario,
Pinnacle Sportsbook, of course, the world's sharpest sportsbook. I would implore you, if you have not checked out Pinnacle Sportsbook in Canada, make sure you do so. They treat you very fairly. You don't get limited. They actually post the limits for you so you know exactly what you can bet beforehand. But ultimately, if you do want to win at betting, which, I mean, should be one of the biggest goals for everyone out there who's in the betting space, you got great odds available to you at Pinnacle Sportsbook, lower margins than other sportsbooks. So bet smart, bet Pinnacle, your trusted sportsbook for the past 25 years. And if you do sign up in Canada, use code HAMMER, HAMMER, to do so. It does support us here on Circles Off. You must be 19 plus, not available in the US. And as always, please play responsibly.
We have an absolute banger of an episode for you here today, here on the Hammer Betting Network. We are going to, we'll get into, we have some tweets that trigger us. Rob's put together a list. We've got 8 tweets that trigger him. We're going to react.
It's getting easier.
It's getting easier. There's some actually non-sports related that are even funnier. I just sifted through them. Hilarious on some of these.
So what's happened to me is you listened to the episode where Kanish was on.
Of course,
the banana marinara thing or whatever. But when I went away for vacation, I ended up on the For You tab on Twitter. Now I check it all the time because it provides great content for the show. Like that tab is the opposite of For You. Like it's the stuff I never want to see, but it just keeps filtering it to me over and because I think like I'm clicking this stuff, we're using it, they just keep filtering. I see the worst stuff on Twitter. It's actually making for great segments nowadays.
For sure. So we'll get into that in a bit, tweets that trigger us. Before we do, we are going to do a deep dive into the player prop betting market. This episode right now, for anybody listening, is long overdue. A lot of people have been asking for it in the comments. A lot of people are messaging us personally. What we're going to do today is basically break down how you can make money betting on player props. And this is something that we've essentially held off from doing because we didn't want to, burn our own edges. Rob and I both make money by doing this right now, but I think it's time. We're going to really delve into this. And we'll start with it. We'll just get right into it. If you do bet player props, listen for the info. We're happy to share it. If you have any questions, concerns, you can always reach out to us. If you don't, this will be a great episode for you to potentially learn. But either way, please hit that like and subscribe button. This is a big episode for us. We've been waiting to do this, and it's going to provide a lot of value for you guys. So please, but we're going to pause right now for 3 seconds. Hit it. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the program. We'll start it off. I want to start by saying, for all the OGs out there who've been listening to this podcast from the very beginning, you may remember me talking about the player prop market. Hey, what's Johnny betting? He's doing a lot of player props, originating, building some ground up numbers, and figuring out how to beat that stuff. And for a while, that is how I used to gain an edge sports betting. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. And it was definitely entertaining. But back in the day, I did used to build up all numbers from the ground up just to figure out the usage, the minutes, and then essentially adjust everything. Well, depending on the sport, it's obviously very different, but by which defense they're playing, which usage, prior weeks, things like that. I used to strip out prior weeks, things that might be a little bit more of an anomaly play. So if players had like certain game states, I would strip out and then kind of put together a baseline. I don't want to get into it too much, but it was very intricate, and it won for a number of years. And I do believe right now it would still win in the current market. However, over the past few years, I started to notice a trend from, this is coming on 10 years now, where every year the market has become significantly more and more efficient in the player prop terms. So this was already the case for, let's say, NFL, where you could be confident that if you could bet Raiders +3 on Sunday morning and somewhere else was offering +5, that was most likely a good bet.
An exaggeration, of course.
An exaggeration, of course, but you might as well take the +5 because over a long sample size, that's going to win. In the current player prop market now, we've come to essentially a little bit of a crossroads where I do believe now that the market is efficient enough for you to win in the player prop market without a model. And that's what we're going to go ahead and explain to you guys today, how to do and what to do and how to use it and all the good stuff. And by the end of this episode, if you actually pay attention and potentially take some notes, I do think it's a good earn for everybody here. Obviously, this is not financial advice. There's a chance you can still lose money. It is gambling, but we're going to go ahead and tell you guys how. Couple months back, and this is behind the scenes stuff here. So our company is working on our company in Betstamp, sorry, not Hammer, but is working on an incredible tool that will make it very easy to beat player props and beat the market and make a lot of money betting. And we've been developing that for about a year now and actually perfecting it. We're almost ready to kind of launch that. And we're just in a testing phase right now where we've sent it out to a lot of, friends and family, other bettors, pros, things like that. Pizzola has been testing for a while. We've seen incredible results, and we are looking basically for people who are potentially interested in, getting in early, learning more about the prop market, to come forward and potentially, if you're betting props right now, reach out to us behind the scenes. We can do one-on-one calls, either a member of the team, potentially me, depending on who it is. So let us know. You can reach out to us. It's going to be contact@betstamp.app, or you can DM us on Twitter @betstamp. Those will be the best ways to get in touch. So anyone who's betting player props, 100% reach out. Anyone who hasn't and is interested in starting to can also go ahead. So we'll start it off. I gave Rob the product about 3 months ago.
Yes.
And Rob, you didn't bet any player props before then.
So here's my history in player props.
Here's Rob's story.
So for those who don't know, I had a way bigger edge in the daily fantasy sports before I did betting. And those were models that I built myself as well to project player points across various sports, Major League Baseball, NHL, NBA. So I originally started with a form of player props, but it wasn't betting player props. It was betting DFS. Over time, projections just got better and better. And there was big companies putting out great projections, where just the margins started decreasing, and it became like a game theory type of thing to beat DFS rather than having the best projections in market. So for me, it was like, how can I take these player projections, which I'm building, and build them into a model to beat sports? At the time where I made that transition, player props weren't a big thing. Like, there was no regulated sports betting. You had all your offshore options and PPHs, but you had nowhere near the level of options you have in player props nowadays. So for me, I immediately just focused on the major markets. And that's where I found success for years, was betting Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL in particular. And player props were just never a thing to me. Over time, especially in the last few years, I've been getting more active in the player props game, as a lot of my full models are more automated. I'm not at my desk, all day long or whatever. But the challenge for me is it's just a very different market. And I've always just, kind of like the episode we did with Adam Beaglebets last week, he was a big proponent of specialization, finding your niche, what you're good at, and just do it really well. And for me, that was always just major markets, like making prices on NHL games. And once I started to mix player props into the mix, it just became a little bit too convoluted for me. So I basically said, this isn't worth my time. Been testing this player props tool. And what I found is a lot of things, which I'll talk about over the course of the show. But I have a Betstamp tracked account where I've turned just over 7% ROI in 3 months. Closing line value, very solid. I've not lost as many accounts as I thought I was originally going to lose in the first place. But on top of that, I actually haven't had to devote even a lot of time in order to earn that ROI.
You're saying with using our tool?
With using the tool, which has been big for me, because everyone has their own unique situations, but I don't want to be at a desk for my entirety of the day. I want to be able to bet for half an hour to an hour a day and see good results from it. Like, that's optimal for me. So this worked really well for me. But from a player prop side, like, I'm closer to noob than I am to expert. And this has been just like a very easy way for me to make side income, like, on top of what I'm already doing from my other betting.
All right, fair enough. Would you say it's a good amount of money you made so far?
Yes. And just like a lot of things I've learned along the way that have helped. But we did an episode a long time ago about how to read an odds screen. And one of the things that we talked about was, the more you just look at it, like if you familiarize yourself with an odds screen and you're looking at it, over time, you're going to pick up on certain things.
Of course.
I talked about how lots of times certain PPH books will move before the rest of the market. And that's not something somebody told me. That's just something that I learned over time by watching an odds screen. Same thing happens with a player props screen, where you just figure out certain things over time, and like, you're able to optimize like that. So you already have a great tool that you can use, which brings all these things to the forefront. You add in some optimizations on a personal level, and now you're running something that's just free flowing and smooth.
Yeah. So the way we've been doing it and the way the product kind of works is, instead of just so I'm going to explain what would roughly be just like top-down betting, steam chasing, as people call it. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to find like a source of truth. So you want to say, okay, this site is really sharp. They have the best price. And then you want to pick off every price that is off market from that, where you can basically get, almost like an arbitrage bet. But you never want to actually bet both sides. You just want to bet the one price that's inefficient. That way you're maximizing your edge.
That's our choice. But some might want to arb. We prefer to bet one side.
Don't arb.
Yeah, I agree.
However, what you're gonna want to factor in the player props market is, right now, player props is kind of like how the regular full game stuff was maybe 5 years ago. In a sense of 5 years ago, you can open up an odds screen and you can see FanDuel's got a price here, DK's got here, MGM's here, Penny's here. All these books are slightly different pricing, and you're going to be able to find some arbitrage opportunities. Over the years, that'll get tightened up, and within the player props market, you do have to act fast because this is something that will tighten up over the next couple of years as well. But we're at the perfect spot in the market where books have started to actually take real money on the player props, as opposed to in the past when they'd only take $50, $100. Now you can actually get down a lot more on player props than you can at some major sports. For example, college football and college basketball. You can bet more on the major, so NBA or NFL player props will take higher limits than anything college basketball related, right? So you might have thought in the past, player props are going to kill accounts, things like that. Think of it this way. The people betting now, a lot of people who are starting betting, they're not necessarily betting full games. They're betting a lot of parlays, same game parlays, player prop parlays, and regular player props. So when you think of it, that just coming in as action into your account is no longer, a red flag. If you have, McCaffrey to score a touchdown, or if you have McCaffrey under 68.5 receiving yards, or Jamar Chase over, like these are just regular things that people bet nowadays. In fact, what's funny is it's more likely that your account will last betting player props versus, betting a college football total or a college basketball total and getting like 2 or 3 points of CLV on that.
That's one of, so I made like 8 points, which I'll get to over the course of the show. But one that stands out to me is it's much easier to sustain accounts betting player props than I personally thought it would be. I've had accounts cut way quicker betting other sports. And even some derivatives of other sports. Like I've had accounts cut quicker betting NHL first periods, NBA first halves, which is like still a major market, especially NBA first halves, than I have player props. It's been, man, here we go. It's been 2 shows. I haven't mentioned it. I used to consult for sportsbooks. I still have some connections from sportsbooks out there. In the ones that I've reached out to, they tell me that 50 to 60% of their total action is coming in on player props nowadays. It's actually half to more than half. And when that's the quantity of action that's coming in, it doesn't look like it's someone coming in that's just looking to pick off stuff, as we now see that down to 0, unfortunately. I was trying to make a run.
So what you're gonna want to do if you want to beat player props is you're gonna want to essentially have some sort of spot where you can look at where you can see the odds for every single book and every single prop market that's on every single book that you have. If you're gonna do this manually, it's gonna be very time consuming. You're gonna have like multiple screens up. It's not really fun and will consume most of your day. Okay, so what you're gonna want to do if you want to beat the player prop market right now is you're gonna want to have all of the spots you can possibly bet, which obviously, as we've preached on the show, is every single book that's available to you. So if you have a Pinnacle account, we want you to sign up. If you don't have a Pinnacle account, we want you to sign up right now. Use code HAMMER. But you're also going to want to have other sports books available so you can beat player props across all the books, not just on one. What you're going to want to do is essentially have every prop. So let's say you want to look at LeBron James. You don't want to be just looking at LeBron James on each tab and have one book open on one tab and then have 25 tabs open and then have to search for LeBron Command F, or have to like individually go to the Lakers game, then player props, then rebounds, then points, then assists, and all these different things. What you're going to want to do is have some sort of screen set up where you can actually have all of the things that you need all in one specific spot. So that's kind of like the first part of our product, and where that comes in is putting everything in one clean, neat, organized way for you guys. And then second, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you're able to read that screen and figure out which sports books are sharp, which ones are not as sharp. And there's so many different things in here that I think our product specifically will do for you and will inform you of, such as which things to bet, which time of day, which books might be sharp on certain sports, different prop types. So many different examples where one book may be the sharpest for NBA, but may also be mispricing a specific prop type, like a double-double or a triple-triple. Triple-double, sorry. So either way, the 4x4 Tim Hortons, triple, boys. So either way, that's where you're going to want to start. And then there's just so many things you can do in the player prop market right now where you can win. But essentially all it boils down to is having all of the information on one screen right in front of you, where you can then factor in and you can say, all right, this is what the fair market price should be for this. And at this one particular sportsbook, I'm able to get this, which is either below or above the fair market price. And if it's above fair market price, you're going to want to leave it and not play it. And if it's below fair market price, you're going to want to play it. And just by doing this, and again, there's not financial advice, there's a lot of variance involved, but just by doing this, we feel, myself and Rob feel, that this would be enough for you to win a decent amount of money per year. And I can't give out specific amounts. I don't want to, like, it's not financial advice, but we do believe is an amazing winning strategy that works right now and should be sustainable for at least the next couple of years.
Yeah, totally agree. So in my experience, and I'm tracking on a private Betstamp account, we'll post the actual numbers so for full transparency. In the past quarter, I've made 1,109 bets. I have a 7.8% ROI, 3.4% CLV on those. I won't say the net amount because it's not important and I don't like to disclose figures, but it's a substantial amount of money that's just been won by me putting in limited effort. So just being able to see numbers across screens, being able to color code those numbers for specific edges so that you can pinpoint them right away and see them right away, being able to organize the sportsbooks however you want to, and that's regulated, offshore, PPH in like one very easy navigatable view, being able to filter props that you want to bet. For example, like through experience, I've just learned that there are certain markets where you're almost never going to find an edge. So I actually don't even want them to take space on my screen. I just hide them, boom, done, out of there. But like just making a very easy customizable view works wonders for you right away. And then you just pick up a lot of stuff over the course of using it. But the big one for me, and the one that like I've always preached this, and it's not just like promotion for people to sign up at Pinnacle or whatever, but especially in the player props market, I can tell you I have tried this on at least 25 books, at least. I don't know the exact number. Every book has a weakness in player props. Every single book in some capacity. Even the books that you would consider to be the sharpest books in setting a particular price, there's a weakness associated. And you might say like, well, where could there possibly be a weakness if there's a book that puts out good prices? Potentially the derivatives of those prices. How they price the difference between a half rebound or a one rebound for an NBA player. How they price the difference between yardages for NFL players or whatever. Every single sports book has something that is exploitable in some capacity from a player props perspective. And some of them last a really long time in terms of the exploitation. So don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Even if it's a book that's considered a sharp book, there's still ways to beat that sharp book.
Big time, big time. I don't want to, like, anyone who knows can just do this math anyways, but based on the numbers Rob said, I've actually earned a slightly higher ROI than that over a number of years.
Guy, man.
But Rob's saying he did 7.7%, right? I think 12 is achievable for sure, 12%, but 7.7%. Rob mentioned 7.8. Yeah. Over, let's call it.
Don't short me on the decimal.
Let's call it 1,000 bets, 1,100 bets. You said.
Yeah.
Assuming Rob's bet size, and again, this is the player prop market. So I just want to give you guys. This is not. I'm not assuming what Rob bets. I don't know how much he bets per game. I don't know how much he can get down. But in the event that Rob were to, let's say, find a way to get down, just like let's say $1,000 per bet. Now you guys can assume what Rob bets, what he doesn't bet, whatever. If he could find a way, and if you could find a way to get $1,000 on each of those bets, times the amount of bets he made, times the ROI. That would be a 3-month profit of right now $77,000 roughly. All right,
and converting my unit to $1,000, just quick math here, would have been $86,800 in profit. Like roughly. So we're in that range.
So there you go. Yeah. If you could bet the same bets Rob are doing, I'm not saying maybe some of them you can't bet 1,000, maybe some you can. Maybe you don't have the bankroll yet. Maybe you need to work your way up. Maybe you're well above that and you can bet 10,000. I'm not sure exactly where everyone was at, but this is roughly where the edge is in this market. A lot of times, and the reason we're saying it's like we're authentic guys. We've been doing this podcast 144 episodes. I myself always speak for what I feel. Usually don't necessarily have a filter on here to say like, oh no, this could be good. But yeah, I know you're doing things well. You guys know when Fezzik comes on and he's talking his stuff, I'll call him out. When guys come on, I'll call him out and I'll tell you, yes, you can make money betting sports. Here's how. And now this is kind of the first episode where we're giving you a little bit more behind the scenes on like an actual actionable way to make money betting sports. it comes with a tool that we're building, and I think that's part of the reason why we're willing to give it out now. But at the end of the day, the numbers that Rob mentioned, like, it's not unreasonable, and you can look through your accounts at home and see, like, what can I roughly get down? How much is my bankroll? You definitely want to be Kelly staking these and making sure that you're betting the appropriate sizing so that you're not going overboard. There is some variance in this, meaning there's not 100% chance that you're going to win over the given week or over the given day. However, at these levels, you're significantly more likely to win than just playing full game, because even those who do have an edge on full game stuff, just like full transparency, the best pros right now who are beating the NFL markets, they're expecting to earn in and around the range of 1.5% to 3% per year, depending on how much volume they're getting down on NFL, NBA. Some really, really big groups that are moving hundreds of millions of dollars per year are content with a 1% ROI. So Rob's mentioning 7.7. I think anything around that's reasonable. So when you have that much of a difference in ROI, your variance significantly lower, and it's going to be, much harder, not saying it's impossible, to have, a losing month or a losing 2 months or a losing 3 month stretch. Whereas when you're betting full game stuff and the edge is much thinner, it's obviously possible to have that. And last thing I'll add before I throw it back to Rob is, you might be looking at all these guys selling picks, giving picks out, even a lot of the sharper guys on Twitter who you might see, sharper guys on YouTube, guys who sell different things. They're all selling game picks. For the most part, we've been through this millions of times, but those are not going to win because so many things have to be true for you to win on that pick. That guy has to actually have an edge. It has to be not factored into the market right now. And in addition to that, you have to be able to get down at the same numbers as him. And if that is a true edge, then in all likelihood, it'll go away within the next couple of months, years, whatever. With the top-down betting approach where you are just reading the market, edges open up at any given second. So right now, there might be, if I pull open, let's say the product, I might have an edge right now on Nikola Jokic under on rebounds. And that edge may go away in an hour because the lines have moved, but another thing might open up. And as soon as one player is announced out or one player is announced in, everything recalibrates, and now you have way more edges. So this is like a sustainable method where you don't need to be on your computer at the exact time when a pick is sent for you to be like, oh, I got to get this exact line. Check back as little or as much as you want in the day, and whatever's on there is going to be good. And then check back an hour later, and there may be some different stuff on there.
Yes. So two things that I'm going to touch on there really quickly. So I'll start on the last point first. I have this as one of my notes that I wanted to talk about. Different times of the day are better for different things. And you start to learn this through experience. So again, I'm very unfamiliar with player props, but I know how to use an odd screen. I've been using odd screens for years, right? Don Best, Spanky, Betstamp screen, even unabated, all sorts of odd screens. But different times of day are better for different things. So you're going to start to see, like, you don't need to be around at certain times in the day where there's just like not a lot of things opening up. This is going to be something that you learn through experience. Days where there's a lot of questionable players in the NBA, that's probably a day where you're going to want to be around for the half an hour or an hour leading off to tip-offs because there's going to be a lot of injury news that comes in. There's going to be some days where there's not. But each sportsbook I have found has like their own independent way of dealing with props. And I've even gotten to the point where I'm pretty confident that some sportsbooks in particular will have maybe one trader, probably multiple traders, looking at player props, but they tend to happen at specific times of the day. Like maybe a shift starts at a certain point where someone looks through liability on player props and starts to move numbers, or through sharp accounts that have Betstamp stuff and starts to move numbers. So different times of day, better for different things. You learn through experience. And again, back to optimization from the beginning, you go from maybe spending an hour betting player props every day to whatever you want it to be, honestly, because you just become that much more efficient. You mentioned Kelly staking as well, which I think is important. This is a concept for people that don't know, who are unfamiliar with betting. There's different ways that you can manage your bankroll. There's what's called flat staking, where you just basically bet the same amount on every bet. I would not recommend that. There's ways that you can just basically increase your bet size based off of your confidence level in a bet or your edge if you're quantifying it. much more recommendable. Kelly staking is using the Kelly criterion, a mathematical formula to determine your bet sizing, which I like to do, and I've always liked to do with betting. The only thing I will say is that what I found to be helpful is to learn some form of Kelly staking in your head. And I know that's like, I'm not talking exact numbers, right? Like you might type in the Kelly formula that tells you to bet $3,428. If you don't bet that exact amount, but you're close and you're able to get a bet that you would have otherwise missed, then you've done yourself a good job. So when you are Kelly staking at the beginning, pay attention to the bet amounts you're getting depending on the edge. 1% edge on a favorite, typically I'm betting this amount, and start to really have those go through your head. That way, when you have to bet something that's faster, player news, whatever, you know that it's going to move quickly, you can get a bet in without having to go through a step of putting in a mathematical formula. So that's been really helpful to me. I do like to optimize my bet amounts. It just makes logical sense. Bigger edge, I want to bet more on it. If it's more likely to win, I want to bet more on it. But I try not to make it a very time-consuming process for me to determine what the bet size is going to be.
If you guys do this correctly, then your bankroll will out-earn your Kelly staking ability within a very short period of time, and you'll never have to worry about Kelly staking again, because the amount you can bet on the prop will be less than your Kelly staking max at a certain bankroll limit, and is a good problem to have.
Of course, where you just don't even have to think about what you have to bet anymore because you're just betting to the max.
Correct.
That's everyone wants to do that.
That is somewhere where I think a lot of people can definitely get. So we're looking at this market right now. The biggest thing I found in terms of the player prop market that's different with the full game market and the regular game market is you are at a phase right now in, like, I guess the state of betting where player props, like as Rob mentioned, are getting more rec action than full game action. So the accounts are actually staying alive betting player props, or at least more than getting closeline value on some other things. But in addition to that, because it's such an up and coming thing, there's new player props getting posted every day, and new books are always like, hey, I need player props, I need same game parlays, I need all these different things. And they're posting different unique websites and unique odd sets and unique things like that. So we're at like almost, I'd say, this is probably the best time to get in right now on the player props game. It was easier to beat 5 years ago, certainly, but you couldn't get as much down. It is still easy to beat now with the right technology, and you can get more down. And in the future, I do think over the next couple of years that the edge will dry up and a lot of the odd sets will consolidate into one. You won't have as much off-market numbers, so it'll be harder to beat. So without a doubt, every year it gets harder to beat. But I truly believe that this is actually the best time to get into the game, because it's a mix of still easy to beat and can get down 10 times, probably actually 50 times the amount you could 5 to 10 years ago. Because when you looked at, like, I remember a time when the max bet I could get on a prop was like $500, and that would be like, across maybe a couple books, like I'd be like, okay, I got 500 on this. Now there's certain sites where you can click like one bet and get 15,000
even on fresh accounts too in some cases. We're
not talking like massive VIP stuff. We're talking like, just easy. Yeah, okay, they'll accept that, right? And I just think this is like the best time more than ever now to actually get into the market and start to learn it. The product that we have, as I mentioned, if you are interested in getting in on this earlier, I don't mean to seem like an advertisement or anything like that, but we have done very little improvement on the physical app that we have right now over the past 6 months. So anyone who's using Betstamp, I know it's hopefully it's 100% of you guys are using Betstamp to track your bets. You'll see we added a lot of the player props. We added all the different markets. We added the futures. We improved the tracking. And then after that, there hasn't really been any major improvements over the past 6 months, but our developers have still been working night and day here, grinding, and we've had so many cool features. So we've been putting everything we have into this new product, and that's alternate line calculations, injury adjustments, everything you can possibly think of that would just make it super easy to beat player props is in this existing product. And we are super fired up to actually like get this thing launched and going. So please reach out. It'll be contact@betstamp.app if you want like an early look, or DM us on Twitter. This is a massive money-making opportunity right now. Absolutely not financial advice, but I think if you're betting and you're interested in betting and you're betting a couple other markets, it's probably worth a shift now to get into this market and learn it while we can still get down good money on it and while the edges are still plentiful.
Yeah. Important to note, like, this is not for everyone. At the end of the day, even though you have an odds screen and you have a tool that's going to help you get down, there's still a certain amount of work that you have to put in as a bettor to achieve success, regardless, period. There's just no freebies in life. So it's not for everyone. There's still an element of work that's attached to it. But if that's something that's of interest to you, I can say I'm a pretty open book and always have been in life, honest and transparent. I can say with a high degree of confidence that I will out-earn my origination using this method. And maybe that says more about who I am as an originator at this point. But in all honesty, the amount of work I put into finding edges in specific markets, relative to how quickly I can find good bets this way, I'm very confident that I can out-earn in the long run. On top of that, you can actually use both methods if you really want to. If you're proud of your origination and you want to do that, go for it. And then you can have some sort of side income on the side. It all works out great. But ultimately, I've been like providing my feedback. I basically have acted as a tester for the last quarter or so and provided...
And has been paid handsomely, not from me, but by the books.
To do so. And it's really useful. But there's other stuff out there that I will hit on. Just listen, like this is, we'd love for you to use the product. If you're of interest, hit up the email, contact@betstamp.app, DM Betstamp. Totally would like to use that. If not, there's other stuff I can give to you here as well that I think is valuable, generally speaking, if you're a player props bettor. And some things that I've personally just noticed in using this tool that I think are prevalent across the industry. But the biggest one for me is that the outlier is not always a great bet. And
he's giving out some real...
And we talked with Mr. Limited about this, right? And kind of learning the hard way that just because one book consistently has off-market prices, it actually doesn't mean that that's a great bet and you want to go pick them off. You can often see this through CLV. If you're just betting at that book and they're just not adjusting the number, you're probably scratching your head after a while being like, off-market price, I keep betting into it. They're not moving it. I'm not winning. That should be the light bulb. But just for those who want to line shop in a different way, you might just want to use the regular Betstamp app if you like, to go through players individually, go through props individually and see prices. That's totally fine. That's free to use. But remember that the outlier is not always a great bet. Number 2, we'll get into this in more detail in another episode. But some books are slower than others to adjust to injury news. And this is very useful when you want to package bets together. There was that Bender Wins guy on Twitter that got into it with Kirk Evans. Kirk Evans probably has like 1 million enemies in the space nowadays. I think he's become the guy that everyone hates, he's like a really nice guy. It's funny. But anyways, understanding that using parlays can actually be your friend in situations where you have multiple edges. And this happens in the NBA, happens in other sports, Major League Baseball, lineup announcement or whatever, tons of stuff where you get injury news and that's going to have a compounding effect on every other player prop. Rather than betting those all individually, same game parlays, way to go. Very easy way to just take multiple edges, put them in one. We'll go through some real life examples on this stuff in a future episode as well. Other couple things that I think are really important. If you see something pop up that's a big edge, act quickly. I've often made the mistake of going and checking other prices to just trust the tool basically and trust the fact that this is a big edge. Sportsbooks often change their prices, and in some cases I've noticed some specific sportsbooks will make drastic changes to their prices really quickly. Could be to balance action, could be for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, but if you see something pop up that's a big edge, you're in a competitive market, bet it quickly. Last thing I'll say.
Of course, by the way, but that's with anything. That's just not with player props. That's with any full games. You see a guy injury, anything, you got to move like instantly.
Exactly. Yeah, sometimes you just look and you'll be like, well, where did this 6% edge came out of nowhere? And then by the time you actually process all the information, it's gone. But yes, act quickly. Last thing I'll say, and this is very particular to what I see some people do on Twitter, and not necessarily something I learned, but just a piece of advice out there. If you're in the business of doing top-down betting or any sort of odds comparison, you need to be comparing the percentages and not the numbers. So you need to compare the implied probabilities. I cannot tell you how frustrated I get when I see someone say, I'm going to bet this plus 400 because it should be plus 360 or whatever. That's like a really small edge. I know in your head, it's like 40 cents. But what you got to do is convert the 400 to a percentage, convert the 360 to a percentage, and then figure out what that edge amount is. So like, stop comparing the numbers, compare the probabilities. That's the real way to determine your edge size. Too many times people overexpose themselves on what they deem to be a larger edge than it actually is. If you're Kelly betting, this is not a problem already, but just be cognizant, compare the percentages, not the actual.
That's a big one right now. Just again, I'm plugging a lot, but our product does that all for you, so you won't even need to do that. It'll tell you the exact edges. It tells you exactly what books are sharp for what sports. Everything's baked into one calculation. Basically, you just need to open it up, like look at the tutorial and figure out how to read it, and then you're ready to go. I did want to ask one more thing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for you, actually.
Sure.
Producer Zach messaged me one day. He said, hey, what could I possibly do to get my hands on a login? I'll do anything.
Yeah.
I gave him the login. He's producer Zach. Obviously, I'm going to give him a login. What are your thoughts so far?
I love it. You guys have told you kind of what I was doing before, and people had got that whole story. My stuff's evolved since then. Get help from other people, bounce ideas off of, and where things are at. This is, I basically just turned into player props because I found it was easier for me to kind of narrow into that market and find some of these inefficiencies and stuff and take advantage of some of it. But I was manually grinding it, like you were saying before, which it's fine. I was willing to put in the work, but I mean, we're producing all the stuff for the Hammer, so it's not like I have that much time on my hands to dedicate to that. For me, the very first thing that I think people realize as well too, it just saves time, right? Like it's a very easy way to read the screen, and I mean, I've been having a lot of success with it. And then,
of course you have, buddy.
Yeah, obviously it's an incredible product, but it makes things really easy and there for you, where you're gonna do the work anyways. But now I don't have to go like screen to screen to screen to find some of the stuff, and I can just kind of grab it right away. And it's also been a learning experience for me too, because I hear what you guys say. We have all these brilliant people who come on the pod and explain their sides of stuff. So you hear about them talking about identifying books, like you guys are saying, hey, these numbers that are popping out there. Believe me, I learned from my own experience of fucking up and betting into those and being like, wow, this number's off. And then I'd be like hitting it for a couple of days of that same style prop. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I'm the idiot. And then you find out a different way to approach it. The screen's right there to show you that now. No, you don't have to live through the mistake. You can kind of identify these things and start to pick up on it quicker, finding which books are better or worse at props, finding which books are better not just at props, but maybe one specific market. I like betting NHL props. I found books that are really really easy to beat on power play props, power play points. Like you can kind of start to identify those, and then you know where to look now too, because the screen just kind of gives it to you all in one easy to find, easy to read place.
Which makes betting so much more fun when you're winning every day.
Yeah.
And that's literally the beauty of it, honestly. Yeah. Like time, and then you can actually watch all the games sweat. Like player prop sweats are also so much better than full game because you're watching for specific things. Story about Zach, actually, I almost didn't give you a login. I'll tell you why. I had to message
scumbag. That's
the scumbag move. I messaged Rob. I said, Rob, said confidentially, how much you paying producer Zach right now? Because he's asking for a login. I don't want him to be out earning his salary and then he quits the show. We don't have producer.
True story.
We don't have producer Zach anymore. I don't want him to make too much. Shit.
No,
but I gave
also,
it to him
by the way,
anyways.
I love doing this way too much for that to ever be the case. No matter what happens, I love doing this.
I said,
too
Rob,
much.
if I give him this login, we may be looking for a new producer within 2 months. I said, are we prepared to do that? He said, I have faith. Zach's not. He's not going to quit the show.
Yeah, and then I got some information on maybe something that has to do with the Super Bowl, and I need to climb my way back out of that one. So
tough one.
Rob did that on purpose.
Yeah,
Rob did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's some good shit.
We're gonna switch gears here in just 1 second. Before we do, I rarely promote next week's episodes, but I'm gonna do it today because this is a true story. We have a big guest on next week, but I sent him our YouTube channel. He went through the videos, and he's like, this is good, this is interesting, this is true. Said, you guys are not getting enough likes for the views. He actually said this.
Who said this?
Our guest for next week.
No, he didn't.
Our guest for next week.
No, he did not say this.
I'm only coming on if we get 200 likes on this week's video. This is what he said to me. And honestly, when you know who the guest is, I actually think he's serious.
I know who the guest is, and I guarantee you he did not say that to Rob.
I think he is very serious.
We need
200 likes on this week's video for a big name guest this week, who I promise will deliver on the program.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
He will deliver. Big name guest. That's all I'm going to say. Smash that like button. And while you smash the like button, if you're not subbed here yet, which is over 50% of you who watch us on a weekly basis, hit that sub down below. And while you're at it, just throw a comment in as well. YouTube loves the comments for some reason. Comment on anything. I don't give a shit. But do all that stuff down below. Big name guest on next week. Zach, hit it.
That is funny.
I don't know what we're yelling about!
I've never seen you mad.
I get paid. Why are you in such a bad mood?
What do you care?
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
All right, first tweet comes from Matt Elder at Respect Your Elder 3. This is in response to a long thread, which we don't have to go through, but basically bickering about reverse line movement. And Matt Elder says,
And there's absolutely no way Rob respects this guy.
I mean, he put it in his handle, but after these tweets, definitely
There's
not.
no way. He lost all his respect.
Bro, you must lose tons of money, laughing face, to think that Vegas and sharps don't exist. Start with Ace Rothstein.
I have no idea who that is, by the way.
Ace Rothstein?
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's the guy from Casino. De Niro plays him in Casino. Okay. Sam Ace Rothstein. Okay. Start with Ace Rothstein. Go down the line. At Bill Crackman is a sharp, and I guarantee he knows reverse line movement is a telling sign where sharp money is and how Vegas feels about that game. I'm going to tell you what reverse line movement is. It's a telling sign of where sharp money was previously. It's not a telling sign of where sharp money is. And by the way, you can just drop the R out of reverse line movement. You could just say line movement. Lines move based off of sharp money. It doesn't matter whether the public is betting against the line move or they're betting with it. The line move is what matters. Again, for the millionth time, which I really want to stress because we have more new viewers than ever. And our highest watched educational piece of content on this channel, which you should watch if you haven't, is the Stop Using Public Bet Percentages video. But reverse line movement, all it tells you is what sharps previously bet. That doesn't mean its value at the current number. Numbers change. If sharp bets an NFL team -2.5 and it goes to -3 and it doesn't move anymore, it indicates that there's no sharps that are willing to bet it at -3. So why are you going to do that? It flies in the face of closing line value, efficient market hypothesis. Enough is enough, people. The last thing I'm going to say here, and this will come up again 3 months from now, as it always does. The vast majority of bettors lose. This is a harsh reality. 98%, rough estimate, of the percentage of bettors that lose. You know how many bettors preach public bet percentages and reverse line movement?
All the ones that lose.
all the ones that lose. The goal is to beat the line, get out ahead of the line, not to chase the line after someone else already bet it.
But he also uses every keyword that makes you know that he's not a sharp bettor. For example, look what he says. To think that Vegas, already, as soon as you start saying Vegas, as if Vegas is an entity that makes the lines.
Of course.
When Vegas is literally just a place.
Yes.
If you to think that Vegas and sharps don't exist, start with Ace Rothstein. Okay,
he's going
fine.
back to like
Bill Crackman. Okay, you know what? Honestly, Bill Crackman, but he probably wins. It's not that hard to win nowadays, as we've been mentioning. It's quite easy. Crackman has been doing this game. He's been in this game for a long time. I'm sure he wins.
I can guarantee you that Bill Crackman is not using reverse line movement to make
win
his bets. So for this guy to throw it into the tweet of like he's a sharp and I guarantee he knows reverse line movement is a telling sign, I guarantee you.
We should get Crackman on. I would love to speak to him, actually.
Let's do it.
We should message Crackman.
We'll do it.
I know he's been around the game for a while. And then he goes in to say, he says sharp money, reverse line movement, and Vegas.
And how Vegas feels about the game.
Those are the three things that just...
They have a general feeling. Also, you know what really gets me about a lot of this stuff? He didn't put it in his tweet, but the people who are like, you know, the Vegas wasn't built overnight and whatever. Do you know what percentage of the profits of these companies come from the sportsbook?
None.
It's nothing. It's all the
casino.
slots. It's all the casino games. It's nothing. They could lose money in the sportsbook, and it's like a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, I will say anyone who says sharp money, also, it's very telling that you're just off because you're not putting a price attached to it. And the only guy who I've seen do it is Dave Mason, BOL. He will sometimes tweet out what side. He's like, sharp money on these plays. But he will then say, sharp money on Atlanta Falcons -3. And the line is currently now -4. So he's actually giving you fair info. He's giving you like, yeah, sharp money is on the Falcons. It was on the Falcons at this price. Meaning, if it goes back to that price, it'll likely get hit back to 4. But he's not actually giving you actionable bets right now, like all these guys are trying to do. Like, oh, sharp money's on the Falcons -3. That doesn't mean bet him at 4.5.
Completely agree. Next one.
Hit it.
I don't know how I saw this one. At Wall Street Silver.
Yeah, I don't know what your issue was with this one. I'm curious to know. Okay, go.
I feel like Larry David here, just like angry at the world. Five Guys prices are out of control. $24 for one person with a receipt of a Five Guys. It's a receipt for $24.
So he's complaining it's Five Guys is now expensive and it's $24. Okay, so fair tweet. I want to know, like, what's your beef? Like, why does this trigger you?
You know what you can do? You can not eat at Five Dimes.
Five Guys. Leave that in.
Leave it. You cannot eat at Five Guys. Like, it's a supply and demand industry. If people are gonna pay, $5.19 for a little fry and $12.49 for a bacon cheeseburger, they're gonna charge it. That's just the way the world works. So, I mean, it's out of control, but obviously people are spending the money on this and posting receipts, and they're still eating it. What do you expect them to do? They're not gonna drop the prices if you keep eating the food. Like, I cannot stand the people who complain, like, this is insane. Like, whatever. This is not a necessity of life. This is not like something that you need to function. Like, you need to live a Five Guys burger. Like, relax, people. Yeah, okay, it's expensive for a burger. Just go eat other. There's a million burger options on the face of the planet.
Yeah, Five Guys is overrated also.
I do like the peanuts that they would give you when you wait in line. It's nice. There's something to it, but like, yeah, like, you know what happens when I don't want to pay for something? I just move on to the alternative in the space. You do not have to pay $24 for a bacon cheeseburger combo. That's all I'm getting at here. I don't like the complaints when people are like, oh, this is absurd. It's like, don't do it. Don't do it. You don't have to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to pay $500 to see Elton John. Well, guess what? Don't go see Elton John. What do you want me to tell you? Like, don't go see him. Go watch him on YouTube. Go find another artist. Like, that's the price. He's going to sell out the arena. I don't want to pay Taylor Swift ticket prices. Well, guess what? He's sold out 6 shows in Toronto. You have to pay the prices. This stuff drives me crazy.
Are we going to Taylor Swift, Rob?
I mean, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, so I'm not going to pay like a dime to see a Taylor Swift show.
Well, you should just hit up Johnny and get access to the odds screen, and then you got cash to cash.
It's not for Swifties.
Yeah.
That one might bite you in the ass, Johnny.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding.
So I got very heated there about the Five Guys.
Yeah, he's pissed. Rob's point then he was just triggered. He's like, you don't have to eat there.
I just don't like the
But then
complaints.
if you don't have to eat there is like, if you can just say, you don't have to eat there, then nobody can complain about anything. Because then you can just say, well, you don't have to do that.
Well, I guess so, but like there's
You could be like, I'm stuck in traffic today. But like, don't leave your house. You don't have to drive.
Sure, but listen, that's a good point. This has been brewing for a while because there's these tweets that go around of like, this is what $100 bought me in groceries, right? Like, you ever seen those tweets before where it's a shopping cart, it's got like 4 items in it, and it's like, you don't have to buy a $36 pack of shrimp. You can. I get it. Groceries are going up. There's inflation. You're getting less than ever. That's a real reason to be upset. But don't give me a shot of a grocery cart where you're buying like the most expensive items in the grocery store. Like, you don't need to buy the milk that's $4 more expensive than everything else.
Got a price shop.
Like,
you got a price shop.
So this has been brewing for a while.
Okay, what else we got here? I know we have.
Speaking of brewing for a while, Paul Pierce switched up his story again and is now doubling down that he actually didn't poop himself in the NBA Finals. Okay. First of all, how many times can someone change their mind on either?
Did he say that he did?
He said he shit himself.
He's already said that.
Yes, and now he's coming back and saying he didn't. I don't know.
He shit himself.
I'll call it out for what it is. I think he shit himself. I think pretty clearly.
But what did he say then? He's like, now he's just claiming he didn't.
It's not even. This is not even what triggers.
It's just a barstool piece. It's just an engagement farmer.
Well, there's lots of engagement farming for sure. This is a really good job. Well done. Barstool's very good at this. Oh, this is when Jersey Jerry should. You can't go to the end of this video. This is disturbing.
No, obviously not.
That was very. I can't watch that again.
It's a sad day. It's a bad day.
Yeah, that was a rough one. But like, enough is enough. Like, just this is like, look at that paint. Go on. What is that? He very clearly has a stain. They took him out in a wheelchair. He miraculously came back. No problem. Like, we know what it is. But what bothers me is like, it's just done. Like, stop. Just let's move on. No one's talking about this anymore. Like,
he's the one doing it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what is he doing? Just now. Like, obviously everybody has the theory that Paul Pierce crapped himself. But like, no one is talking about it. He just keeps bringing it back into the news cycle. Like, what is he doing? I don't understand. Like, it would just be forgotten. But it comes back all the time because he keeps doubling down on this stuff. Anyways, not a reason that I should get upset about things, honestly. But I see it, and I never liked Paul Pierce because I hate the Celtics, and that one just really bothered me.
Fair enough. Okay, this is just, again, engagement farming.
Great job.
Great job.
Book is doing a very good job of putting out like these odds on things. They went deep into the bag for this one.
Scroll down, Zach. Put the whole thing. I want to say one thing up front. This is what now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, and obviously there's no field, so they got to put a field in here. But 14 movies plus a field, 15. Whoever made this odds, I don't even know if they've ever placed a bet because the hold on this is astronomical. You have a minus 140 on a 15 game field, and then there's also a plus 75, plus 275, plus 200, 325, 300. This guy's raking in 50% hold on this for sure. So that's obviously the guy who made this hasn't bet a lot of futures. But anyways, that's not the problem.
That's not even what bothered me. I didn't notice the odds on this other than just the order in that where they're listed. And I'm looking, I'm like, okay, Happy Gilmore, probably best Adam Sandler movie. Waterboy, sure. I like Billy Madison better than Waterboy, but fine. Then I saw like Grown Ups, Click.
Grown Ups is an underrated film. Click, Click go way down.
They listed 14 movies on here. They did not put The Wedding Singer on here.
You know what they didn't put here that they needed to put? Little Nicky.
Yeah, Little Nicky, Mr. Deeds.
How is Little Nicky and Mr. Deeds not on here?
Dude, like they put the worst stuff on here. What is this? Who made this list?
I forgot.
How are those movies not on this list? How is Click plus 300? Best
Also,
Adam Sandler movie?
get Uncut Gems out of there. I know. Listen, like get
I got
that
so
out
much
of there.
anxiety watching that movie.
Longest Yard, incredible. Happy Gilmore, the best. That's My Boy, underrated. Zohan's probably at the 3 spot.
With Jack and Jill
Oh, Jack and Jill's like, get out of here.
and Hubie Halloween.
I don't even know that.
I don't know it either.
That came out like a couple years ago on Netflix. Brutal movie. Brutal. I'm ashamed to say that I watched. They put these movies on ahead of The Wedding Singer, Little Nicky, and Mr. Deeds.
Yeah, a couple other notables that they left off. Anger Management.
Yeah. Oh my God. Anger Management.
51st Dates, another underrated, different flick.
A little bit
different
of
flick.
rom-com there,
Different
but yeah,
flick, but he deserves them.
Yeah. Anger Management's hilarious, man. Hilarious movie.
Yeah. Also, Chuck and Larry, not a bad film.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
I know you guys are gonna. I know you guys are gonna be like, "Oh, why is Chuck and Larry up there?" Not a bad film. That's My Boy is there.
Big Daddy 8 to 1. Like, isn't Big Daddy one of the best Adam Sandler movies?
There's a lot, man. I'm just looking here. He's got quite a few.
Anyways,
I would go personally. Happy Gilmore 1, unquestioned. 2, I'm going. I'm going to go Zohan 2.
Zohan.
Yes, Johnny.
I'm going to go Zohan 2.
Yes.
Longest Yard 3. And this is going to be a crazy take, but I'm going to go That's My Boy 4.
That's My Boy's very funny. I watched it recently.
Yeah, but I'm going to go Zohan 2. That's coming out of left field. Zohan's absolutely underrated.
I do love
movie.
John Turturro in
I
that
had
movie.
it there too.
Hilarious.
It's very fitting for today's day as well. If you watch it. A lot of good meaning.
But
Scrappy Coco.
I mean, whoever does this stuff for Book It, job well done.
Job well done.
In
Got us
terms of
talking
getting
about
a
it.
reaction, because we just talked
You guys
about
ever seen The Cobbler?
The Cobbler.
Adam Sandler, The Cobbler?
No.
It's not that good, but watch it.
2014.
Watch it if you can, but it's not very good.
I've never even heard of The Cobbler.
Yeah, it's okay.
Finds a magical sewing machine that allows him to see
Yeah.
the world in a new way.
He sews up people's shoes, but then if they're sewn on this new machine, he's a cobbler, just like a shoe fixer. And then if he wears their shoes, he becomes them.
Okay.
It's not the best.
I mean, I had not heard of this. I had not heard of this, honestly.
Yeah, it's honestly not the best.
Yeah, I don't think it
But
would be the best.
I'm sure you've seen all these other movies, so I'm just saying, yeah, you know what? I'd give it a watch. The Cobbler.
I'm probably not going to watch it.
It's not the. I'm telling you straight for anyone listening.
I'll watch it for you,
It's
Johnny.
not the best, but if you're an Adam Sandler fan, that's why I said you guys seen The Cobbler, because not a lot of people have seen it. It's another Adam Sandler film. You throw it into the rotation.
I'll make a very shocking admission to you guys.
What?
I don't like to say stuff like this, but listen, I'm an open book guy. Whatever. We got our own pod. I sometimes get emotional during movies. Okay. My wife walked in on me watching War Horse years ago, and she was just like dying. She's like, I can't be married to you. Amanda, you're crying during this movie. Click with Adam Sandler has like the saddest ending of it. Don't watch it because it's actually so sad. I'm gonna give this.
I don't even remember it being sad, but I honestly don't remember.
I'm gonna give the spoiler alert here, but he basically like realizes that his entire life has passed him by, and he was just a piece of shit that did nothing. And he's like reflecting on all of this in real time while he's like crying with his daughter. If you don't shed a tear at the end of Click, I don't even know that you're a human being. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know that. I bet you there will be people in the comments this week that for sure cried watching.
All right. We'll
I will
see.
say that there will be people that cried
Leave a
watching.
comment if you didn't cry when you watch Click, because I actually want to get some. I want to get some comments on.
Zero.
Could you imagine if no one comments that they didn't cry, Johnny?
It's a tearjerker, man. It really
You know
is.
what? I do believe Adam Sandler was a producer for The Benchwarmers, and that is a phenomenal movie.
Oh, Benchwarmers is
That is an
it's-
absolute-
dude. That has to be him. Look at the people in the movie.
No, he's the
It
producer.
has
It's
to
a
be.
it's a
Yeah,
Happy
yeah, that's what I
Madison
mean.
film.
Which of his
Yeah.
movies has the highest IMDb rating?
That's nothing, bro.
I know it's not. I'm just saying.
Those are just
It's got to be Uncut Gems, right? Because that was like
uncut gems, bro. Come on, Happy Gilmore is the best movie.
I agree. There's no debate.
It's the most quotable, best movie.
It should be
Yeah,
a bigger
Happy,
favorite.
This shouldn't even be on the board.
Rest in peace,
It should-
Chubbs.
It should say best Adam Sandler movies excluding Happy Gilmore.
No, this is not in order. Click has a lower rating than Wedding Singer. You got to sort it by IMDb rating. Yeah.
Uncut Gems.
What's the Happy
Oh,
Gilmore?
and what are the first ones? All the shittiest movies you made.
Rain
Happy
Over Me.
Gilmore's
That's
a
a
great
September 11th. I haven't seen it, but I'm not going to comment on it. Punch Drunk Love, like that's like a romance.
Hotel Transylvania. What is he, a voice?
Yeah, he's got to be a voice. Wedding Singer is a banger. I'm going to say like Wedding Singer is a very notable omission from that list. Very notable omission from that list.
This guy's he's good.
He's good.
He's good.
Jack and Jill is on that. I cannot believe they chose to put Jack and Jill on that list over some of these
the Cobbler coming in
absolute bangers
28
that they have here.
Wow. IMDb rating the Cobbler over That's My Boy. That's
Don't
just
Mess with
outrageous.
Zohan.
And ahead of Zohan.
These are critic ratings, man.
Yeah, dude. These guys
These
don't know what they're
critics, they don't
talking
know.
about. These are the guys who are using reverse line movement. These guys don't know what they're talking about rating this. This is you know what this is? ESPN predictive analytics power ranking giving the Celtics 98% chance to beat the Heat in the playoffs. Get these guys off my screen, bro. I want the real hard ratings from Twitter.
Okay, I saw this one.
Okay, this is insane.
From non-aesthetics things. I don't follow this account. I just saw it. This woman's charger during a 6+ hour red-eye flight. If you're listening to this and you're not watching on YouTube, you're unfortunately not going to get this. Obviously, if somebody had this next to me on a red-eye flight where I was trying to sleep, I would lose my.
You can also tell it's a red eye because it is dark. Like they're not lying.
It's dark. Someone in the back corner there is sleeping in the background. It's very clearly a red eye. I mean,
why would you ever buy that charger? Like, why would you ever have that charger?
Through your head to buy a flashing charger like that? Like, to each their
Oh,
own.
you're a psychopath.
That's insanity.
Honestly, if I saw someone with this charger and I worked in law enforcement, I would put them on a list to be examined.
If you have this charger and you listen to this show, tweet us a picture and then stop listening to the
There's
show.
no way you have that charger. There's no way.
I was just thinking in my head, though. I've had some bad red-eye flights before. Some people who are loud, noisy. Sometimes you get like a small child on a red-eye flight. Listen, I'm not going to be that guy that's like... But, you know, it's the overnight flight. You're trying to sleep. But this is... being next to this... It doesn't matter where you are in proximity to this. You're just going to see these flashing lights going to drive you insane. Like, this is crazy person.
Crazy.
JJ Gruden, friend of the program. One draft prop I love is over under 4.5 quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix, Bo Nix. These 6 are all capable of going first round. I love this over. Okay, JJ.
Wait, even better than that, though, is GRP wins underneath them. What website has that prop?
Correct. You're
fucking kidding me.
Good luck trying to... First and foremost, if you're going to post an obscure prop, at least post where it's at. So that like people aren't going on like a wild goose chase to find this prop. This is February 26th when he posted this. Secondly, maybe let's give a price associated with the 4.5 quarterbacks. Like, I love over under 4.5 quarterbacks.
I don't even think that I don't think 5 will go in the first round.
I don't think so either. Typically speaking, you do tend to see some quarterbacks drop. Talked to Eric Eager about this before as well.
McCarthy will probably go end of the first round, or maybe someone reaches and takes either those other 2 busts. But
whether or not it's a good bet, I don't care. I honestly don't care whether or not it's a good bet. I just don't like. We're in draft prop season. Post the book if you're going to post it. Because honestly, I looked in a million spots. I'm like, oh, wow, we got these draft props. I couldn't find this anywhere. Not saying it doesn't exist, but I exhausted my resources to try to find it. Second of all, no price. Like, it doesn't, like, at some point, just attach a price to bets you give out. That's my I just attach a price to the bets you want to give out.
I might actually make a wild call right now and say all 6 of those guys are going to be busts.
It could be
6 for 6 busts.
What do we consider a bust?
You'll know.
Because like
know.
It's statistically improbable.
If Caleb Williams is Jared Goff, is he a bust?
Yes.
So then they're all busts, in my opinion.
But Caleb Williams is more likely to not win a Super Bowl than to win a Super Bowl. Would that make him a bust?
Yeah, I'd say none of those guys win a bowl.
Because typically speaking, these teams that are picking near the top are shit.
The bottom three, it's going to be tough. The top three, it's going to be
Bottom
tough
three,
as well.
JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix, Bo Nix.
I don't pretend to. I honestly don't. I don't know who's going to be a bust or not. I gave up a long time ago on trying to predict that.
Well, Johnny, I'll tell you one thing that might absolutely fuck you here on this prediction. I think Knish said Caleb Williams would be a bust, so
No.
you might be on the wrong side of history
on the
here.
wrong
tough
side of
break.
that.
Tough break, dude.
Yeah, especially on the
Bad
college
bounce
football
back.
stuff. He's not the best.
I mean, he's only one of our creators here at the Hammer for college football. Hey, whether you're following or fading, he's got something for you.
It's like
Hey, go up next. Next tweet.
Next tweet. Wow. This guy's coming up a lot lately. This one was sent to me, actually. It seems like Stephen Golden is ruffling a lot of feathers in the community.
Stevie G.
I think I met this guy at Bet Bash. And I honestly don't remember well enough because I was drunk half of Bet Bash last year. But
Wow.
I think I did meet him. That's a true story. Johnny saw me playing at the craps table probably for 3 days of a 6-day trip. If you call out a bettor yet aren't willing to fade his picks, do you really believe he sucks? Seriously, I see a lot of people calling guys out on here, yet they'll never fade their picks. You know how much money you can make off a 44% long-term capper. It's better to fade a 44% capper than follow a 55% winner. Just be willing to fade if you're going to call someone out.
Okay, what he means by this, which would be accurate, is if you call out a bettor and aren't willing to take his bets, then do you really believe he sucks?
That's
that would
very
be
different.
That would be true. But however, taking bets is completely illegal. You should never do that, and you can't.
Yeah,
like,
we're not saying to be a bookmaker.
You cannot be a bookmaker. But so yeah, he's saying if he were to have said if you call it a bet and aren't willing to take his action, then do you really believe he sucks? That would have been a true statement. Would you agree?
Yes.
But the way he's saying it is fade his picks. Now you're basically saying, is he bad enough? Is he losing more than the VIG? No, it would be like a 6% swing here. For those I know, I'm just doing calculations in my head. But for you to fade his picks and win, if you think he's losing, all he has to do is just not out earn the VIG.
Yes.
And he's losing. So he could even be picking, let's say he's picking minus 110. He can be picking, he can go 51 and 50 over the course of the season and lose money.
Yep.
If you faded him, you would go 50 and 51 and lose even more money.
Exactly.
So because there's VIG involved and you're actually paying juice to the book, if you're fading a guy's picks, you actually need to be, he needs to be losing really badly. Yes. And as we know with the market, nobody is losing unless you're betting massive parlays. And if you're just betting straight wagers and picking up, like even if you're just taking rent, I'm always taking Pinnacle price.
Yes.
No matter what. Or I'm always taking whatever. Not line shopping at all. Not doing anything. Just doing the bare minimum. There's no way your expected ROI is less than minus 5% on straights.
Agreed. At the end of the day, you're right. If this was about booking the bettor, 100%. But most bettors do not lose because they pick at 44% or 45% or 40%. They lose because they pick close to 50% and they pay a VIG. And then on top of that, they compound it by making bad betting decisions. Like they bet parlays when they don't have an edge on the individual legs. They do not know how to manage their bankroll properly and they chase losses. So it's basically being a coin flipper, betting into a market where you need to not be a coin flipper, and then compounding those problems with bad bankroll management and bad bet types that make most of the population.
And then they also say, I really like the Kansas City Chiefs, but I don't really want to bet them at minus 600. So I'll just same game parlay them Chiefs and Mahomes to get a rushing touchdown. And then next thing you know, Chiefs win, but Mahomes didn't get that rushing touchdown. And there you go. Bet's done.
Tough break. Tough break.
Next one up is a doozy.
Oh, yeah.
This is the IMDb Rotten Tomatoes ESPN special.
The tweet heard around the gambling Twitter world, I would say. Jeff Goodman at Goodman Hoops. This is also a bet rhythm pick of the day. 78.1% win probability on Alabama at Kentucky under.
Even if he made the points 166, it wouldn't even be a 78.1% win probability. FYI.
Very curious how I don't know if he's running some sort of simulation. I don't know what the hell's going on here.
But that wouldn't even be...
Okay. the point
Like at that number of total, I'd be shocked if that math added up.
Listen, if the book is offering minus 110 on both sides of a pretty widely available game that has decent limits like an Alabama-Kentucky college basketball game would, you do not ever have a 78% win probability on
0.1.
78.1. Apologies. Like it just doesn't happen. Like you can be directionally correct, right? Which is very possible that it was here, even though this bet lost. It's not about the bet winning or losing, but you do not have a 26% edge on the bet. It's
no way.
It doesn't happen. So if this is you and you're modeling and you're getting some stuff where you're spitting out 20% edges, I mean, first of all, don't post it to Twitter because people are, going to correctly point out what the problem is. Second of all, go back to the drawing board, find a way to tighten that up because what you're doing is very likely just producing garbage, honestly. So tough one, but for those out there who do want to try their hand at modeling, you're going to not be off market by anywhere close to as much as this one. Okay, final tweet from Jay, long Twitter handle, replying to Greg Peterson of VSiN. Bro, there are times you can do all the research in the world and analyze the differences between two teams, but there are times you have to read the line as well and take what doesn't make sense because Vegas gets the people like you who just read the better team here. Again, started with one like this, and we're going to end the segment with one like this. Forget about what other people think and what Vegas knows.
No. This guy's actually right, bro. Reading this again, he's saying it wrong, but he's actually right. Okay. Go. Give your point.
Paraphrase.
He's basically saying this. Bro, you can do all the research you want, but the number is the number. So they're just getting you because you think that Alabama's better than Kentucky, but the number is -6 because it's -6. Don't just go betting Alabama because you think they're the better team. He's actually right, but
if he had said it like that, which is not what he meant,
I think that's what he meant.
Scroll up. Scroll up, Zach. Click that original tweet.
Okay, but the first time I read this, I didn't realize that. Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
It's between Wake and Duke, and he's calling out like a fishy line.
This is why. Okay, so he's saying that's when the smart people go with the line and take Wake.
Yes, he's basically saying that.
He's basically saying all of the public is on Duke.
Bingo.
So because of that, I'm going to take Wake.
Exactly.
Fair, but you know what? Yeah, you know what? I was wrong. He said something that does actually make sense, but he didn't mean it.
You stuck up for him right away, and you weren't like ready to just bash him and whatever. Honest guy that you are. But the evidence suggests a very different.
When you click back on his timeline, it was, I try to have your back, Jason 559-26313.
Oh, man. All right, that's it. Tweets that triggered us this week. Got a plus EV or a minus EV?
I had a couple written down.
Well, that's not going to do us any good.
A couple. So I think recently I've been taking a little bit of a break from social media. Significant positive EV, I think, is to not actually check social media for an extended period of time, just to kind of get that reset in. I think a lot of times, like especially people who are younger, will just be only used to checking social media their whole life. Like they never had a period of life when they were younger where it didn't exist or they didn't have cell phones. You lose touch with a lot of like reality. Like people's lives aren't as good as they're posting on social media.
Yep.
You're always going to be a little bit jealous. You're always going to think you're not doing enough, but sometimes good to just kind of like take a break. And then my negative EV move, which is just absolutely a negative EV move, and I continue to make it. But living in a spot that has a tough winter, it's just such a negative EV move.
We're having a good.
This is back-to-back weeks of like don't live in the cold in winter.
Yeah. It's just was that given on last week's episode?
Yeah, Beagle.
It's such a bad move. Like you could just be so, and it's not about your own happiness due to the weather. What I think it is a little compounding effect of everybody that kind of goes in, because everybody, no matter who it is happier when the weather is not like over, and this could be too hot as well, right? So if it's a really hot, humid day, people are a little bit more miserable. If it's a very cold day, people are miserable. If it's a nice temperature day where you can come in, wear shorts, t-shirt, lounge clothes, whatever you want, wear a cap. You don't have to worry about the cold. You can just go home. Yeah. Everyone's a little bit more happy and excited. And I think those are, if you could just get that weather all year round, people are just more upbeat. When you get into the winter sometimes, like I just feel it. People are more miserable here.
I get it. Totally. I understand it. I've just known it my whole life and I never do anything about it.
Same here.
Maybe one day I will.
I gotta do something about this.
Very quick minus EV from me. Recently, I've been paying way more attention to the amount of time that I spend on my phone. So there's apps obviously on your phone that tell you what your screen time is. I went back and started checking this stuff, and I'm like, holy shit! I spend an insane amount of time on my phone, and it's a productivity killer. So recently, and when I say recently, I'm talking about maybe a week and a half now. I've really paid a lot of attention to this, and honestly, I feel great. I've turned off a lot of notifications that I typically would get, and I'd just swipe them away and like not even think anything of them. But what you don't realize is like when you're constantly getting bombarded with notifications, you actually just start checking your phone when there's like not even anything there because you're just so addicted to that. So turn off notifications that you don't need. Unsubscribe from emails. Like I wake up in the morning and I have like 15 emails, all of which I just delete every morning.
I don't even have any. I don't even like have notifications on for email.
But there you go. That's great. But like for me, I do, and I wake up and first thing I do when I get out of bed is I feel overwhelmed because I have all these emails. Unsubscribe from them all. Like I don't need all this shit. Set app limitations, which you can do on your phone. I don't need to be on Instagram more than 15 minutes a day. Like I honestly don't need to do that.
Technically, don't need to be on Instagram at all.
I agreed, 100%. And then honestly, if you can live with it, try to set some like phone-free times or locations in your house. So now when I'm down in my basement watching TV, I'll just leave my phone charging upstairs. It's no longer like a nuisance. I don't feel the need to go check it all the time. I think that's just generally something that people should be a little bit more cognizant of. And listen, maybe my situation doesn't pertain to you in particular, but at least do an audit of how often you're on your phone and then determine for yourself whether or not it's worthwhile.
Take a look at your advanced stats.
It's the same way I play golf, right?
Same way Rob plays golf. You got to be checking your underlying metrics. I really hope everybody appreciated this episode and understood, kind of what we were trying to do in the first half of the episode. This is, call it a prequel. It's a very early part one. We are planning to do another episode where we can actually show off the product, exactly how it works, how to use it, and when it's more ready and fully ready to go. That episode hopefully comes in the next couple weeks or months. And when we do that, Rob and I have saved a bunch of stuff in there where we're going to actually give out like some more actionable edges, tips, things like that. We're actually going to go book by book, things like that. So that will be an absolute banger of an episode. You're not going to want to miss that one. So subscribe to the channel.
And of course, just for our guest next week, we need to get the 200
We need the 200 likes.
Right? I honestly don't know if he's being honest or not, but we need the 200 likes. And if you're listening to this in audio form, and you always listen in audio form, we do appreciate it. Hop on over to YouTube, just click that subscribe button, like the video as well. It goes a long way to helping us grow things. So please, if you can do that, we don't want to disappoint our guests for next week.
And then what we're doing right now with this product, just to close off here, is as people know, a lot of questions that we've been getting are, how do you know this edge is going to last? Well, what we're really trying to test out now is, how many essentially subscribers we can get on this product before the edge starts to erode or before we start to notice some differences. So we've been opening up different tranches and different periods. We are opening up like another period right now where we're getting a bunch of users. It's gonna be very limited, so there's not going to be a lot of spots available. But that is why, if you're interested, if you are currently betting props right now, seriously, and I'm not talking about people who are, going to be misusing it and betting from like a limited $10 FanDuel account, moving all the lines. Like if you're a serious bettor who's making money, wants to make more money, or if you're, someone who's, let's say, getting up to that level now where you're like, you know what, I can actually do this and I'm ready to kind of take the next step. Reach out, especially if you're handling player props right now. Even if you're not and you're looking to get into it, reach out. So the email is contact@betstamp.app. Zach's going to leave it in the description, put it on the screen, or you DM us direct on Twitter @Betstamp. Those are the two ways to get in touch. spots are going to go. So if you watch this episode when it comes out, which will be this Thursday, please try to get that email in by the weekend, and then hopefully you can secure a spot at least on the test right there. So appreciate you guys all. I hope everyone enjoyed the tweets that trigger us. I know I certainly did as well.
Yeah, it's a great episode today. Of course, smash that like button down below. Make sure you're subbed here. If you're listening in audio form, please rate and review 5 stars. We'll catch everyone next week here on Circle.
Big guest next week. See you guys.